Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name is Fred Wheeler and today I want to talk about Dungeons & Dragons. And in fact, I'm talking about the Dungeons & Dragons 5e starter set, and we're going to talk about the Lost Mine of Phandelver. This is a Dungeon Master Guide. I like to say this is a Dungeon Master Guide for the Lost Mine of Phandelver. It is not a player's guide. So if you are playing the game and you're a player playing a character, this is not the video for you. I do have many videos that you can watch, but this is the one that your Dungeon Master will not be happy if you watch. So leave it alone. You will get that information when you interact with your Dungeon Master. Now I'm covering today Elmar Barthen of Barthen Provisions. Now, Elmar Barthen is one of the first NPCs that the players will interact with when they get to Phandalin. Elmar is the owner of Barthen Provisions, which is a trading post. It is the biggest trading post in Phandalin. Its shelves are stocked with ordinary goods, so it doesn't have a whole lot of magic items or accessories or expendable consumable magic stuff that you can purchase. Ordinary goods and products are sold here. Barthen's Provisions is open from sunrise to sunset. He does not sell weapons or armor. Anything like that is not stocked at the trading post. You can buy such things as adventuring gear that costs less than 25 gold pieces that you will find in the player's handbook, or whatever your Dungeon Master determines is suitable for your particular adventure. What I wanted to point out is its basic location, Barthen's Provisions, and as the map shows, Barthen's Provisions, which is sort of the top middle, and then off to the side you'll see Barthen's home is actually situated very, very close to his work site. So if you're wondering how things are lined up, that's where he is. So he doesn't have to travel very far, he's just got to walk across the road or the pathway to get to his workplace each day. Elmar will direct weapons and armor purchases that the player's characters might want to be involved in to the Lion Shield Costa. The Lion Shield Costa is the place where you want to go and buy stuff. It's not very far away, and Phandalin is a small place. It's not like you won't be able to find it. You probably be able to see the signs of pretty much everything anywhere within this little town. Elmar is a lean individual. He's lean. He's a balding human male shopkeeper. He's in about his 50s, so he's about 50 years old, and he's got a kindly manner to himself. So if you're wondering sort of how to play this individual, it's not the abrupt individual. He's a pretty sort of straight arrow. He's not going to be played in an unusual manner. Barthen employs a couple of young clerks. Their names are Ander and Thistle, who help sort of unload the wagon or load the wagon when it needs to either take supplies off or put supplies on there to transport them to a different location. Or these shop helpers, you might say, will wait on customers when Elmar is not available. He's not in the store and not on the trading post. Barthen is expecting a wagon of supplies from the player's characters. So when it comes to playing that section of it out, you will find that he does expect them to be delivering supplies. He doesn't know when it's going to take place, but he knows it should be in the next few days. And he's expecting that delivery to be delivered to him, not for them to show up with a wagon of supplies and deliver it to somebody else in Phandalin. Should the player's characters decide they want to sort of barter or negotiate or see if they can find somebody who will give them a better price. So he is actually expecting to be paid because an arrangement has been made between Gandharan and Barthen to actually bring these supplies in. So messing with that can make a story a little bit complicated and certainly would put Elmar Barthen on the negative side of the player's characters if they were to do something like that. Now, the player's characters are transporting their wagon from Neverwinter through to Phandalin. There will be some trouble along the way, but eventually they should get there, provided they don't wind up with the entire party getting wiped out, which I don't think should necessarily happen. And even if it does, that's what capture's for. You capture them and you work through it that way. Now, Barthen will pay each of the characters 10 gold pieces for the wagon supplies. Now that's 10 gold pieces each character involved. So if you have 6 characters in total, it's going to cost him 60 gold. If there's 4 characters, it's going to cost him 40 gold. It's pretty simple. It's not complicated at all. Now what happens if the players want more? What if the players decide that when they show up at his trading post, they actually want to haggle and negotiate the price? I'm going to talk more about that because I know it will tend to come up. It certainly was a topic in my game, so I don't expect it to be any different for you. I will discuss that. I don't think it's going to be quite what they were expecting in terms of how that will work out. So once they arrive there with their wagon supplies, they can unload it. Barthen will get his little helpers to help unload the stores. Now it includes many different mining supplies, and all of the information in terms of what is provided is it's in the very first chapter of the adventure. I don't want to go over that quite so much because I don't think it's quite as important, but essentially it is just a mixture of mining tools, supplies, goods, foods, things like that. Things that you would need if you were mining, things you would need if you were supplying a town with general goods and so forth. What about Gandharan Rockseeker? Barthen is not actually aware that Gandharan Rockseeker has been captured unless the characters tell him. So he will not know what has happened to Gandharan because Gandharan has not arrived. He was expecting Gandharan to arrive, but he never showed up. It will take the player's characters telling him for him to know anything about that. If that does actually take place and the player's characters say, look, Gandharan was captured, then he will be quite saddened by the fact that Gandharan has been captured or is possibly dead, because maybe the player's characters don't know if he's perished or he's been captured. So it's completely open to that. What about if they actually bring Gandharan back with the wagon supply? So in other words, they make their way through Cragmore hideout, then they manage to make their way through Cragmore Castle, rescue Gandharan, and then bring the supplies into Phandelver and bring them to Barthen's Provisions. Then he will be really happy to see Gandharan. And of course, I always find it a dangerous thing to do when you start having one of your NPCs talking to another NPC, where you find yourself talking to yourself and the players just sit there sort of baffled and amused as you take on the role of two characters communicating with each other. I would not do that if I were you. You're welcome to give it a go if you really want, but I wouldn't think it is a wise thing to consider, considering it just looks a little bit silly after a while. Elmar will encourage the player's characters to try and rescue Gendron Rockseeker if they have not done so far. Elmar considers himself a friend to the dwarves. That includes Gendron Rockseeker and his brothers. He is quite excited by the fact that Gandharan has discovered the lost mine of phandelver. So that lost mine, which is part of the Phandelver Pact. He knows it's in nearby hills, but he does not know the exact location. So if the player's characters are trying to get that information from Barthen, he can't provide you with that because Gendron Rockseeker and his brothers have been keeping it a closely hidden secret so that nobody knows what's going on. Elmar will mention the fact that Gandharan has two more Rockseeker brothers. One is Thardan and the other is Nundro. And they are supposed to be, as far as he's concerned, they're supposed to be camped outside of town somewhere. He doesn't know their exact location, so if they say, look, do you know where the brothers are located, where did they camp? He can't tell them that answer because he doesn't actually know exactly where they are, because they wouldn't tell him. Elmar hasn't seen the dwarf brothers in about 10 days, or a 10-day, and expects them to resupply quite soon because they haven't resupplied. So they are expected any time. Barthen is actually unaware that Thardan is dead and that Nundro is a prisoner of Nesnar the Black Spider. So if you were thinking that he was aware of that sort of information. It's the player's characters who will find out that information when they finally find the lost mine itself. When they reach Wave Echo Cave, then they will find out, or that's the first time anybody finds out what happened to the other two brothers. Barthen's news. Now, I want to be really careful about how I present some of this information, because it is tempting to lead into too many adventure hooks too quickly, which is why I'm breaking up all of the NPCs in Phandelver into individual videos so that you don't do that. But we need to talk about business, Barthen's business. There is a section, and now you'll find most of this information is on page 16 of the adventure, so you can go there and find what you need from there if you feel that would be more helpful to you. And certainly I would consider reading that information anyway. A lot of this information is already taken from the adventure, and I have added a few things to it myself. If the player's characters ask about business or the town and its welfare, Elmar can tell them that the Red Brands are shaking down local businesses. This is supposed to be another adventure hook to get the player's characters, hopefully, to help out Phandelver and dispose of the Red Brands, or at least shut them down. So they have been shaking down. Protection money has been paid. They're not a nice group. There are certainly benefits to helping the town out by disposing of the Red Brands. So the player's characters could do the town a huge favour by bringing the Red Brands to justice if they decide to do so. The Red Brands hang out at the Sleeping Giant Tap House, so if they want to know where they can find the Red Brands, that's where they would be hanging out. I would suggest to you that you make no mention of the Red Brands with Elmar unless it moves the player's characters towards rescuing Gandharan Rockseeker. I think that is more important than worrying about the Red Brands. In my adventure, it wound up playing out this way, where they dealt with being ambushed, they dealt with Cragmore hideout, they knew that they needed to rescue Gandharan, they didn't know where Gandharan was, they decided to bring the wagon to Phandelver, they then encountered the Red Brands, they decided to deal with the Red Brands, even though they wanted to go and rescue Gandharan, but they didn't know where he was, and then they found out where Gandharan was and where Cragmore Castle was from the Red Brand thugs. I laced it in there. But that's how my adventure played out. Your adventure doesn't necessarily have to be that way. There is room for movement. But I would suggest that you make no mention of the Red Brands unless, and particularly their involvement in how the town operates, unless it moves the player's characters towards rescuing Gandharan Rockseeker, or they have already rescued Gandharan Rockseeker, or they know that Gandharan Rockseeker is already dead because they've already been to Cragmore Castle and they've already dealt with that part of the adventure. Barthen will not pay the players more for the wagon supplies, and the rationale behind it is if he pays them more, he can't make a profit. So it makes no sense whatsoever for him to do so, even though the players might be wanting to get more funds out of the situation than they are currently getting supplied, which is only 10 gold pieces per character. Elmar Barthen is already paying protection money to the Red Brand gang. So for him to pay additional money for the supplies and to be paying the Red Brands, that's going to cause problems, because not only is he not going to have enough money to be able to cover it and actually resell the product, he's also going to find that the Red Brands will more than likely be keeping a close eye on any visitors to the town, and a big wagon full of supplies will attract their attention, and so they would also be expecting to, particularly if he's willing to pay more to somebody else for these supplies than he would normally pay, then the Red Brands are going to expect a bigger cut as well. So he would not go down that route, unless of course it starts to get nasty. And let's just hope the players' characters don't go down that path. If the party want information on Phandelver, Elmar will provide information, general information, if they are not threatening to him, and they deliver the wagon supplies to him at the agreed price that he had originally set out with Gandharan Rockseeker. Threatening Elmar Barthen will attract the Red Brand's attention. So if there is sort of an altercation between the player's characters and Elmar Barthen, then the Red Brands will certainly step in, because remember, Elmar is paying protection money to be protected by the Red Brands from anybody else stepping in and taking their turf. So they will definitely make an appearance, and I would just fast track the first encounter that the player's characters are supposed to have with the Red Brands if they decide to sort of start threatening Elmar Barthen and trying to get a higher price, or they want to sort of dispose of him and loot the shop, which I would like to think they won't do, but it's always possible, right? Elmar Barthen is not a warrior. For anybody who might be thinking, oh, he can get into a fight. No, commoner statistic block, that's it. He's not a warrior, so he does not get into fights. He will argue with the party, but not in a heated manner that he thinks would lead to an open brawl. That's something he would want to avoid. He cares for his family. He still has, or whatever family he still has. Now, the thing with Elmar Barthen's family is there's really no information in the adventure, so I've provided you, as I go through here, with a couple of options that you can pick. You can pick whatever you want. You can do it however you want. But he's definitely cares for his family, whoever they still are, and he also cares for the people of Phandelver, the general community. He's there to help provide a service and also make a living. This is his home. He expects to stay here for the rest of his life. This is a growing community, so he's invested in making it grow into something better. There is, as I said, really no information on Elmar Barthen's family members. Nothing is provided, so it's really up to the Dungeon Master to decide the details. I'm going to suggest a couple of options to you. So he could be a bachelor who never married and has no children and just lives in Phandelver. He might have married and his wife might have died and he's now widowed. They may or may not have had children, so it's up to you to decide whether he does or doesn't. Or he might have a wife, which you'll have to build the information around, and children. Or not. It's, maybe he's got a wife but no children. Maybe he's got a wife and he does have some children. You decide. And it's really going to be completely up to you whether he has parents who have died or are still alive. Maybe some of them are still alive, maybe just the father or the mother, or maybe both of them, or maybe both of them have passed away and are buried close by or in some other location. Elmar does not know the location of Cragmore Castle, so if the players are looking for that type of information from Elmar Barthen, he can't give them the location of Cragmore Castle because he doesn't know where it is. Elmar will not really know nothing about Iano Albric, who Sildar Hallwinter is trying to track down. He doesn't know anything about the Black Spider. He doesn't know that there's a drow called Nesnar the Black Spider. He knows nothing about that information, and none of that information can be extracted from him. He does not know who leads the Red Brand bandits. Even though you as the Dungeon Master know that Iano Albric does lead the Red Brands and that he is Glassstaff, he has no knowledge of this whatsoever. All he knows is these Red Brand bandits come in, demand protection money. He has to pay them, that they run the town really like a tyrannical gang. And that's really essentially all he knows. I did create a character called Lex, for those of you who might or might not want to use Lex as a sort of a standout NPC within the Red Brands that you could use. I did show you an image of him just a second ago. I thought this image was good to use as Lex, and you can play Lex as you wish, but I think it's pretty simple. He's got no compromise. He's arrogant. demanding, greedy, all of the things you would expect from a bandit or a thug, and flesh it out however you wish. In terms of finding this image on the internet, it's actually pretty easy. If you just type in Red Brands D&D, you should be able to find it without too much trouble. Okay, so that's everything I have on Elmar Barthen for today, for those of you who are interested. Now, if you found this information useful or informative or educational, please share and like the video. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more stuff like this, because I do this every week. Hit the bell button to be notified when I go live and when I publish new videos, which I do quite often. If you want to support my channel, you supported my channel by watching this video, this live stream, and you can continue to support me by watching more of my videos. I have quite a large series of videos on the Lost Mine of Phandelver. You will find the playlist. It's pretty easy to find, and there's, I think, close to 30 videos now. Some of them are edited, some of them are live streams. It's up to you to decide which ones you find most useful to you. So I don't plan to do Patreon for 2019, but I do have affiliate links down in the description. So down in the description you'll find the book depository and Amazon, where you can buy stuff online. I get a small commission. You pay exactly the same price, and that helps support me continuing to do these videos and other topics that I cover as well. Now, this is your opportunity. If you're part of the live chat, please start typing in your feedback, your questions, or just say hi to me. I will say hi to you. Trust me, I respond to as much as I possibly can, and I'm not a big enough channel that I would be ignoring people anyway. If you're not part of the live stream though, you can ask your questions and give your feedback down in the comments section. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s.